I'm Pam Spivey. I'm here to share with you tonight about coaching with my colleague and Chief Clinical Officer, Dr. Lori Armstrong of Inspire Nurse Leaders. Our agenda for tonight is looking at what is coaching. We're also going to look at the different types of coaching from a general perspective, and then also really focus in on what Inspire Nurse Leaders coaching is all about. We'll discuss the relevance. It's always a hard one for this Southern voice. The relevance, have to slow down, of coaching in healthcare right now. And it is a pivotal time for nurse leaders to raise their voice and bring our leadership to the forefront, right? Coaching is an investment, and we're going to talk to you about the ROI of coaching for you individually, your teams, and for the organization. And like Rob said, ask us anything. Coaching is a conversation between one or more people. And so we want you to ask questions, send us information on the chat, and we'll get right started. Wonderful. Let me do some formal introductions. So I'm looking straight ahead and see Dr. Lori Armstrong right here at the top. And I love that because she is the top dog for Inspire Nurse Leaders. She's the CEO and Chief Clinical Officer of Inspire Nurse Leaders. She and I have both had many years of leadership. And for Lori, it's been at at the executive level, Chief Nursing Officer at top hospitals across the country. She's internationally renowned, an expert and speaker on nurse leadership. And what I love about her so much is her humor, her heart, which is the passion you'll hear tonight, and the contagious energy. She inspires me every time I hear her talk, even if she doesn't believe it is true. And her passion for growing nurses, so they can be their best and deliver the best outcomes for themselves professionally, and most importantly for her team and for the organization and the patients and families that we serve. Just a little bit about me. Lori says I have a lot of initials behind my name. It just means that I'm a lifelong learner. I'm a geek, right? But I'm honored to join Inspire Nurse Leaders as their lead for wellness and resilience program, and also leadership development. My coaching is really focused on resilience and applied positive psychology, and sharing the science behind that to be your best. And I have coached nurse leaders, entrepreneurs, and anyone and everyone in between. So I have a passion specifically for nurses to help them away from the wall and toward their possibilities. And that's why I'm here with Inspire Nurse Leaders. Lori?
Thank you, Pam. I love listening to you talk. And before we get in this slide, I just want to say I love when Pam introduces me, because typically I just hate sitting there listening to everyone. But Pam summarizes a lot for my last 30 years. And I have to say, when she talks about my passion, that means everything to me, because it inspires me. It's what gets me up in the morning to go back at it. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a few more minutes. But let's jump right in. Coaching, that's what we're here for today. Pam and I and the team of Inspire Nurse Leaders, our team members that fuel this work in coaching. We're all here today to talk about what it is, why it's so important, and how we can help partner with you to get to whatever that next place or that next level is. Okay, sometimes it's not about a higher level. Sometimes it's about a different practice environment. Sometimes it's about a different part of nursing. And yes, sometimes it might be about you're a manager and you aspire to be a director. You're a director, you aspire to be an associate chief or a chief nursing officer. That's what we're here for. And we have a full complement of coaches who can provide that for you, whatever the right connection is. So jumping right into coaching. So when we were putting the slides together for this, this really just spoke to exactly how we feel about nursing. And this is going to be your first request, if you will. You know, Rob teed it up by saying this is really interactive. I want you to take a look on this slide and tell me which movie or which coach in the movie resonates with you. Okay, I have two of my favorites, but I'm gonna be quiet for like 30 seconds, which is very difficult for me. For those of you, I know I recognized a few names in the panelist group. So is there a movie or a coach from the movie that really brings a memory or resonates with you? Oh, Bobby, hi Bobby, I'm so glad you're here. Mr. Miyagi, everybody loves Mr. Miyagi. The patience of him, the discipline that he used to help people, to help in the movie, to teach them. Suki, you picked one of my favorites.
Yes.
Blindside. We're going to talk about in that one in a
That's
minute.
mine.
It is. It's yours too, Pam.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? So far, we have Mr. Miyagi and we have Leanne from The Blind Side. So, oh, one more, I think.
Remember the Titans.
Oh, Remember the Titans. Almost all my favorite. There's one, and I'm going to save it to last. Adrian, thanks. Remember the Titans. Lower right hands. But like the listing or listening. Okay, so you know, Remember the Titans. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, you know, I don't know about you, but I'm running out of shows to watch on Netflix. The binging has been going on for the pandemic, and I'm about converted 100% to British crime dramas, by the way. That's a whole nother conversation. But it's worth it if you never saw Remember the Titans. All the movies are great to circle back to, but in Remember the Titans, there's a scene where Denzel Washington brings a group of disparate people. They're all on the same team, but they don't get along. They don't see eye to eye. They are really polar opposite culturally, but they're on the same team. And what he does is he expects them, he sets an expectation to run 3 o'clock in the morning in the middle of the night to hallowed ground, really, to Gettysburg. And that common vision, that common goal, he inspired them. And he asked them, you don't have to love each other, but you have to respect each other. He set the goal and he inspired them to achieve together something, okay? To achieve something together. And that's part of what leaders have to do every day. And that's what coaching can help you do. Every single one of these pictures depicts a coach, a formal coach or an informal coach that really made a difference. And coaches make that difference. We play all different kinds of roles. We can help you become inspiring, just like Denzel Washington did. Then The Blind Side. I love Leanne in The Blind Side. She knows exactly how to motivate her son. She knows exactly how to motivate him. And her key message to the formal coach, the formal football coach, is to help your people be successful, you got to get to know your team. Okay. And sometimes as nurse leaders and leaders in general, you're so busy with competing priorities. Sometimes you forget that. And your coach can listen to you and provide that objectivity and that clarity and say, hey, this is what I'm hearing you say. Let me play it back to you. What are your thoughts on it? Okay. So that role of reminding you your role, your job, and where you're going, putting that path out in front of you, really, really important. And then, you know, I didn't mention it in our earlier presentation, but the lower left-hand corner with Michael Jordan. The reason I put Space Jam on here is because of the theme song. I believe you can fly. I believe you can fly. And like nothing else, coaches should be the wind beneath your wings. Sorry, I'm quoting songs, but okay. Really, really should be the breath for you sometimes when you don't have it yourself. One of my clients this week said something that just made me smile ear to ear and just touched my heart. She told me that I was the vitamin shot for her on a weekly basis, that I gave her that energy. And that means the world, because a leader's job is arduous. Leadership is an arduous journey. Leadership is a lonely journey, and your coach is there for you, that confidential go-to person. That's what coaches do. That's a role we play. And then the lower right-hand corner, that's kind of like my crush picture, Kyle Chandler from Friday Night Lights. Love it. Oh my God, if you've never seen that series, it's got to be at least 6 or 7 seasons. You got to watch it. But like nothing else, his mantra speaks loudly to me about what leadership is. Clear mind, full heart, can't lose. Okay? Clear eyes, full heart, can't lose. What coaches do, they can help you clarify your values, clarify your vision. And once you clarify that, you have more confidence, right? Clear eyes, full heart. Our profession is born out of compassion and caring, your heart. And then with your coach and as a leader, you make a difference in one nurse. You won. You can't lose with that. One nurse, you make a difference, because that one nurse lays hands on many patients. And as a nurse manager, a director, and even a CNO, your span of control can be between 50 and thousands. When I was a chief nurse, honor of my career to be a chief nurse for almost 15 years, I had 3,000 nurses under my care and direction. And when you're a leader with that responsibility, manager, director, chief nurse, the difference that you make cascades to so many others. All right. So not only is he kind of handsome, but the mantra of clear eyes, full heart, can't lose. It's just winning. And with a coach at your side, your influence just grows and your impact grows. So you could see already that Pam and I and the team at Inspire are so passionate about it. And we're going to go through the slides. You're going to have to bear with me. There's some evidence in here, right? We all have registered nurse licenses, everyone on this call, on the Zoom, and we are responsible for practicing evidence-based care, evidence-based practice, and our practice is leadership. So you get with that data a little bit. So what is coaching, right? We've talked a little bit about abstract, the role of a coach, the role we can play, like all those different movies. But professional coaching is a leadership strategy that can maximize potential, okay? And we put this definition in there purposefully, because when you name something a strategy, it's very, very intentional. So we think about leadership development. Inspire Nurse Leaders has an amazing curriculum of courses, 40 different courses, right? So you can go to 1-hour courses, you can go to conferences for 3 days, get inspired, you have your CEUs and you go back to work. But leadership is what we believe that missing, coaching is that missing link in leadership development. It's a very intentional strategy and one that is invaluable. And we're going to actually show you the quantifiable value of it in a few slides, both in outcomes and then when we talk about the true investment in coaching. But that intentional strategy, that one-to-one time you have with that safe go-to person, invaluable. You might be thinking about coaching not only for yourself, but for your team. And that time that your team has growing and learning about themselves and how to work better with the team, that's the intentional strategy. That's the missing link in all that you're responsible for. And we see coaching in sports. You just saw it all. Almost all of those were sports related, right? to some degree or another. And we've seen coaching blossom in business. You see a lot of advertisements, business coaching, executive leadership coaching outside of healthcare. And it's inching its way into healthcare. For me, having been in healthcare for a long time, I see maybe some higher level executives with coaches. We're just now seeing it start to penetrate manager level and director level, and we're thrilled about it. And in fact, within the last 6 to 9 months, the demand for our coaching services has exploded. And that's really why we're here today, because we want to impact as many people as we can, because it empowers individuals. And when your influence, confidence, and you feel empowered, that means your team gets stronger. And what does that mean? Patients and families flourish under our care. That's the coolest part. And we'll get into that. Okay, Pam, handing it off to you.
All right. Thank you, Lori. I'm feeling the passion and the inspiration already. And I love how you brought up confidence. Oftentimes you may hear me say with competence comes confidence. And you spoke to our evidence-based practice for leadership. And really a coach helps bring that individual confidence forward, brings that voice forward. And there are a number of different ways of coaching. What we like to do is to bring it to you in a question, because coaches are great at asking probing questions. So the types of coaching, who is being coached? Lori and I both do one-on-one coaching. Lori with executive leadership, CNEs, CNOs, the associate level. Yes, ma'am.
And don't forget my physician
yes,
clients too.
And a physician client.
I'm loving my physician clients, and it's National Doctors Day, so it's perfect timing.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Awesome. That's right. So there's individual coaching. There's also group coaching and team coaching. Group coaching is, let's say, it's a group of directors all across the United States who really want to come together and lead, learn, and grow as a group. So it's a facilitated group. We discuss different things around, say, engagement, if that is a topic people want to really dig and dive into. Team coaching, the difference there is when we talk about team coaching, we're talking about within an organization, within a system, and we bring together like-minded individuals or similar span of control and really help to develop that team so that their communication is up-leveled. That's one, or level up, Lori likes to use. So that's the who. What level of leadership? Executives, mid-level managers, assistant directors, AVPs, clinical nurse specialists. I have nurse practitioner clients that are looking for that balance between their hours of work and everything else in their life, right? And then the wonderful emerging leaders. They are out there, they're ready to take it. And how can we bring them to their best as they're emerging into the leadership role? And then there's a lot of different types of coaching. We have been excelling in our CNO onboarding and engagement and high performance. I don't want you to think of coaching and counseling, okay? That's command and control. I'm talking about high performance with you as an individual and what you want to do to continue to develop professionally and meet your next milestone. So those are the different types of coaching, and we're going to go into some specific detail about Inspire Nurse Leader coaching.
Thanks, Pam. Okay.
You're welcome.
So I'm just going to go into some of the data surrounding coaching. You know, some of you on the call know me a little bit better, may have heard me speak a little more frequently than others. And those of you I don't know, I'm really glad you're here. It's wonderful to meet you. Reach out to Pam and I on LinkedIn. We like to grow our friends and our connections, but I'm all about the evidence and all about the data. And Pam alluded to my long career in nursing and my leadership career. And one of the things that fuels me, again, that inspires me, gets me up every day, is that fascination between nursing leadership and patient outcomes. And in fact, it was the core, the root of my doctoral research, that link between nursing leadership and patient and family outcomes. When nurse leaders are educated, trained, and practicing at their highest level and build strong, healthy work environments, outcomes improve, right? But it always starts with the individual nurse. And what this slide reflects is what the individual client, people who are being coached, how they feel and what they say. And this is from the International Coaching Federation. So one of the leading bodies in coaching, right? On leadership coaching. And what it shows is that 99% of the people that have a coach were satisfied. When do you ever see that higher rating? Wouldn't we all love that with our patient satisfaction scores, 99%, right? But people, and it's important because if an organization, if you're lucky enough to work in an organization that believes in coaching as that intentional strategy for leadership development, they believe that it's the right thing to do. So they might tell you, hey, Bobby, you need a coach. Hey, Adrian, hi, Adrian, by the way, would you like a coach? But if the individual person who's being coached doesn't feel satisfied or feel like they're getting something out of it, it really doesn't matter. Then it's not effective. But when the ICF reached out to their, and this is tens of thousands of people who had benefited from a coach, 99% of them were satisfied. Okay, over 70% of them perceived that they had better work performance. 80% of them felt more confident. You know, I have to tell you, I have a large group of people that I coach, physician, nurse leaders. And last year, believe it or not, I coached Silicon Valley business executives. It was a fantastic experience. Scary, but it was great. Face your fears. So I will tell you that the very, very first thing we work on is individual development, individual growth. And I would say 100% of my clients feel that they need to work on finding their voice and communication, how to be more effective when you're communicating with others. And when you do values, deep personal values work, and you find that voice, and then you have the skills to use that voice to be more effective, that's the confidence that Pam was talking about. That's the secret sauce right there. And then nearly 70% of them felt that they got even more than their investment, even more than their money's worth. In fact, when we look at the data across industry, healthcare included, there's a 4 to 8 times ROI on the investment in coaching. It's amazing. The data is amazing. So that's individual. I want you to think about this. When you're a leader, right? And I believe very strongly that every nurse is a leader, whether you're at the bedside or you're in the boardroom or anywhere in between, you're a leader. So when you're a leader and you're feeling more confident and you're stronger, your influence on your team grows, right? So you're stronger, you're more effective, your work performance is increasing. That means your team is influenced by that improvement, and then they grow and they're stronger. So it's like a waterfall effect. You're at the top. And I think every nurse should be at the top, by the way. You're at the top as the individual nurse. You're affecting your team, and then your team, that impact on your team cascades throughout the organization. So it's really a waterfall. It's really a cascade: individual, team effect, organization effect. This is all scientific data. And the slide that's up shows the true evidence behind the benefits of coaching. And when the leader and the manager is more effective, the data tells us that 75% of their teams are more engaged. Is anybody on this webinar working on employee engagement? We all are. And if you're not, I want you to think about that. The emerging data is showing us that employee engagement is in the top of mind, top 3 imperatives for healthcare leaders in this country. Top 3. It's because of COVID-19 recovery, the impact on the nursing workforce. It's because of the workforce shortage predictions. And it's that we have a new millennial workforce, millennial at the bedside, millennial at the manager level. And we need to know how to effectively support the millennial workforce. By 2025, millennial workforce will be the primary generation, and we have to make sure that we're engaging that primary generation. So engagement is critical. So when you're stronger, your teams are more engaged. 75% of them are showing that when their leader is more effective, they are more engaged. They'll even go the extra mile for you. They'll work harder, they'll go the extra mile, okay? And then productivity increases, right? So you read lots of articles or evidence that says companies with purpose-driven leaders, with value-driven leaders and more confident leaders, their stock prices are higher, okay? Their bottom line is stronger, their margin is higher. Yeah, that sounds great. For us, bottom line improvements means patient outcomes are better. There's less CLABSI, there's less falls. Mortality is lower, okay? Okay, so when our outcomes get better and our productivity improves, it's not just about the bottom line. Although productivity, absenteeism, turnover, and overtime is better too. I have a lot of data, I'm talking too much, right, Pam? I can't help it. It's all there. And the missing link we feel very strongly about is that individual coaching for the leader and the group coaching for your team. So we are thrilled. I'm going to hand it off to Pam now. One of the most exciting things about this webinar is that you're going to see coaching live in action. And I'll hand it right over to Pam and our amazing guest, Kelly Kainer.
Thank you, Lori. I love your passion, but you did talk too long. That's okay. I just want to welcome Kelly Kainer to our webinar this afternoon and this evening if you're on the East Coast. I have to preface this coaching in action with just letting you know that Kelly lives her values. Kelly is at a track meet that her daughter is participating in and is finding a few minutes to spend with us because she wanted to share what coaching has done for her and her team. So this segment is called Coaching in Action. And what I'm doing here is just a brief, what's called laser coaching session with Kelly. Kelly has been one of my clients in the past and also worked with her new team. So we were really excited to work together. So I'm just going to start us off and we'll be having a conversation for a few minutes. So hi, Kelly. It's good to see you. I know that you had reached out and you want to kind of go over the agenda that you have with your new team. And congrats, by the way, for filling that last spot. And now you have a full complement for your team.
Yes, Pam, I'm very excited. So, you know, I just a promotion myself and, you know, I am building a team of managers now. And, you know, I'm kind of in that transition period of going from being a leader of staff to a leader of leaders. And, you know, I have to build a team now. I have to build a team of leaders. And tomorrow morning is my first meeting with them. And I just wanted a couple of minutes of your time to run through the agenda for the meeting and just make sure you know, I'm touching on everything that I need to touch on. So my team, just to fill you in, I have hired, I know you know a couple of them, but I've hired 2 people who were promoted from within the organization in the last couple of months. and we have 2 who have hired in from the outside. So we are real excited about having a full team, but we're all coming from different backgrounds, and I just need some advice.
All right. Well, it sounds like a great thing that we can do in a couple of minutes. What do you know about your individual team members now?
Sure. So one thing that I do know is we are all coming from a different background. 2 of them being very new leaders, we're brand new leaders, and 2 being, seasoned leaders, but from outside the organization. So I kind of have a combination of leaders who, have been in the hospital and know the hospital way, but then, and the culture. But then I have 2 from the outside coming with more experience, but need to learn the culture of the organization.
So let me ask you, have you done any kind of assessment with them to see where their strengths are, see what they would bring individually to your team?
Sure. So no, I haven't, but that was one thing I did want to ask you about is, do you have any recommendations, and do you think that that would be a good place for me to start? Because I really feel like we need to learn each other as well. So, so that we'll learn about each other's strengths and weaknesses, both as myself being their leader, but for them working together as well.
Oh, I do have a couple of things that I can shoot you in an email. What do you think the likelihood of you sending it out before the meeting and really asking them to share that information with you? Does that sound like something you would like to have on an agenda?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can definitely get it out to them today, and I know that they'll get it done and have it ready for tomorrow, and we can, go over the results, and then I can do it as well, and then they'll know my, strengths and weaknesses as a leader as well.
I love that, Kelly, because when you say sharing with your team, you are being open, you're being authentic, and hold on to that, because as you are transitioning from a leader who leads leaders and they're transitioning into leaders that will be leading staff, being open as a team and being able to share will be vitally important as you go forward in your team. What other ideas did you have for your agenda?
So I was also wondering about reviewing like goals for the unit, and just to make sure that everybody knows what our goals are, but also see what their ideas are for what we should focus on as a leadership team and as a unit.
I think that looking at your goals will be a really good starting point. And it also will show them where they connect with the organization, because I think that's going to be really, really important. What else did you have in mind?
Well, do you think that might be enough if we review their assessment of their personalities, and then as well as the goals of the unit and the, I think too, just sharing their own backgrounds to start with, and then wrapping up with the goals of the unit and of our team, and just kind of end with open forum. I hate to overwhelm them too much on the first meeting, so I was kind of thinking about keeping it, short and simple and very focused.
I love keeping it focused. I really like that, Kelly. I just have one recommendation for you to consider, and that
Sure.
is to set expectations. If you set expectations for you and your team from the very start, that will bring clarity to everyone's role and responsibilities. So does that sound like something that you could fit in to the agenda that you have?
Yes, absolutely. I definitely think, in our goal setting, setting expectations at the same time would definitely be, be good. And then I can also ask them, what do they expect from me as their leader?
All right. Well, it sounds like you've got three ideas for your agenda. One, the assessment, getting it out there, telling them it's important that they come back to the meeting with that information. 2, talking about goals and how they align in your organization. And then 3, remember, I just threw it out there. It's up to you whether or not you want to do that, but setting those expectations. And I like how you put it into the goals. So do you think you've got a good working agenda so far?
Yes, I do, Pan. I appreciate your time, and I will definitely let you know how it goes.
Well, I can't not ask you before we hang up today, how's the track meet going?
Oh, it is fabulous. My daughter got second place in pole vaulting and set a PR of 7'6" and she just got third in the 800. So one event left. We have the mile left.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yes.
We are
Thank you for
celebrating
asking.
with you. Okay. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
That's laser coaching, guys. It's really easy when you have such a connection and relationship, and that's built through coaching. But Kelly, and here's a picture of her on our next slide, she wanted to share so many other things with y'all to help y'all understand what coaching has been for her. And I don't know if she can get back on because I know the mile's coming, but there's many different things here on the slide. Kelly, could you pick out
Sure.
two things that you'd like to share with them?
Yeah, I think probably in my experience of coaching is, Pam, and, like Lori said earlier, the return on your investment. I really feel like Pam definitely pushed me to see things in myself that I could not see. She definitely helped me realize what my strengths were and how to build on them. And I think she always pushed me to be a better myself. And I think that's very important. And then, it definitely provided me the confidence that I needed to be a good leader. I think we all have awesome leadership traits, but your coach really helps you realize what your strengths really are and gives you that confidence. So for me personally, Pam, I think those were probably the top two for sure.
Thank you so much. Now go in there and coach your daughter for the mile, because I know you run many miles. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thank you for having me. Yes, y'all have a great rest of the webinar. Thank you.
Thanks.
Wow, I loved that. I'm so glad we did a live unscripted, truly authentic unscripted. And you can tell, Kelly's recently taken on, she wears a couple of different hats now, and it's amazing to hear her preparing for her new team. It's really actually beautiful to watch her flourish under you, Pam. It's really great. And, Pam, Kelly said a few things that reflected you that I just want to call out. And she said you pushed her. And she said it in a kind, you're on mute, Pam. She said it in such a very kind way, not like you pushed her too hard. But I think that circles back that kind of, that's what coaches are for too. They help you not only see clearly, which she said that you do, they see clearly. And I always say coaches help you see clearly. They help you think objectively, take all the emotion out of what you're dealing with, and then they help you strategize to take action. I mean, that, and clearly you've done that for her. You're pushing her to that next step, whether that next step is just through her daily challenging work as a leader, or the next step into a different role, which I think is fantastic. And one of the ways Pam does that, and I'm using this specifically as an example, is that Pam is a fantastic accountability coach and an accountability partner, and that is critical. And I'm just being honest here and confessing, Pam holds me accountable. We're co-workers, but she often puts that coaching hat on with me, which I need. I don't have a formal coach anymore, but Pam has stepped into that accountability role with me. And just about 2 weeks ago, Pam said something to me that really, I have to be honest, I didn't like it when you first texted it to me. Let's be clear.
Yes.
But as I reflected on it, it really meant everything to me. And I'll just be frank with everybody on the Zoom, is that we are doing a lot of exciting things at Inspire Nurse Leaders, and coaching has just been such a fantastic segment of our work. But one of the other things we're going to launch is you'll hear about it soon, but it's not ready for prime time yet. It's a fellowship. We're launching an Inspire Nurse Leaders Fellowship for aspiring leaders, whether you're a seasoned manager, director, or aspiring to be a CNO. And I kind of started getting scared and saying, we're taking this big thing on. I mean, I know the content is great. The faculty is amazing. Coaching is weaved in through it. So it's going to be fabulous. But I started doubting myself. You know, those negative thoughts that come in your head. I know I'm not the only one that has them, in that imposter syndrome that we saw some of us suffer from. It started seeping in my brain. And anyone who knows me at all knows that I'm a deeply spiritual person. And Pam, so when I was getting this fear, Pam reminded me of my core values, because we've done that values work. And she reminded me that fear and faith cannot coexist. They cannot live in the same space. And she texted it to me, and I didn't like it. And 24 hours later, 48 hours later, I started seeping in. I'm like, she's right, Lori, fear and faith cannot live in the same space. And it gave me, she held me accountable for living my core values and leading from my core values. And it pushed me to where I needed to be and to have the courage to go forward. And you know what? I know it's going to be successful. It might not be perfect, and that's okay. It'll be even better for the next time. And I just wanted to call that out, because as a coach, that's what you inspire. You want to inspire others to be, or that's what you aspire to be as a coach. Someone who can push someone who can hold that leader accountable for having a bigger impact. And I just loved what Kelly said, because it really brought all of it together, hearing her talk. So thank you for that.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Okay, Pam.
So we're just going to take a brief second to show you what a coaching engagement might look like with Inspire Nurse Leaders. And I want to highlight at the bottom where it says discover, strategize, execute, achieve. Those are the 4 basic premises around our coaching. The discover phase, maybe just with first, chemistry calls. Are we a right fit? Because we want to make sure that our relationship can grow and flourish. If we're doing something like onboarding a new leader to an organization, we may do stakeholder interviews and gather more information to have that 360 look at you, the leadership, the organization, so that we can then move into that strategizing time where there will be defining of goals, co-creating with your coach ways that you can make an impact as that leader in that organization. There will be an action plan designed around communication and building relationships along the way from that leadership perspective. And then as coaches, we'll coach to the plan. Your goals, you decide. We're there to support you, to guide you, to push you sometimes, because oftentimes in that assessment and as we're going through the action plan, what comes out is that we recognize your strengths. Glenna the Good Witch, she always told Dorothy she knew how to get back home. She just needed to say it and click her heels. So I love to call myself the Good Witch, but helping you and coach to that plan so that you can grow, that every path may not be exactly right, but you learn through that path and where do you go from there, and you're growing. And then the achievement occurs. It comes all the way through, but the achievement and the actual evaluation and measurement of our coaching time together, which could be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, that's defined based on what you and the organizations may want. So Lori, did I pick up everything there? Anything to add?
You sure did, but I hope if you're the good witch, that doesn't make me the bad witch. So anyway,
No. You're
just saying.
Dorothy.
Okay.
You're Dorothy.
Thanks. So yeah, this is our framework: discover, strategize, execute, and achieve, and it's highly customizable. But one of the things that are non-negotiable is that it's unique to you, and that you as an individual leader, yes, we want to work together to help you get better outcomes for your organization, if that's what the engagement is related to, but we also want you to grow, and that you create where you want to grow and where you want to go. So it's growing and it's going. We're going to help you get there. So I'm going to move on to the benefits to nurses and organizations. We've gone through a lot of this, but just trying to tie it together. This is really the ROI slide. This is a slide that we might help walk you through individually. If coaching really, if you think it's right for you and right for your team, reach out. We're going to put our contact information on the last slide. But this is what we're going to help you walk through. Reminding you or teaching your whoever you're going to ask for sponsorship for coaching, if you're going to go that route. Some nurse leaders want to invest and keep it personal within themselves, investing that way, but also going to your executive sponsor, whether it's your director or your chief nursing officer, or if you're a CNO, going to your CEO. How you feel, it builds your confidence, it builds powerful teamwork. All of these are ROIs for the organization. And then on the right-hand side of the slide, the ROI for the actual organization. So more engaged staff, lower turnover, better patient and safety outcomes. All the metrics improve when the leaders are stronger, and we can give you all that data. This is really that justification ROI that you need to have that conversation with the CFO or with the CNO, either one. And then finally, I just wanted to touch on why Inspire. Why Inspire? There are a few other coaching organizations out there, but we're the difference makers. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And where we are uniquely positioned to provide impactful coaching. Why do we say that? It's because we've been you. And we never forgot where we came from. Even as a chief nurse, every Friday I would have on sneakers and scrubs and be out there on the floor, because my initials after my name, doesn't matter how many there are, they start with registered nurse, with RN. Never forget where you came from. And when you never forget that, you know the challenges that nurses face. You know the challenges that going up through the ranks as a nurse leader, whether you're in operations or in quality or in informatics, doesn't matter. The challenges are great. The competing priorities are significant. And we know we're not, I respect my business coach colleagues very much. I've learned a lot from them, but we are coaches for nurse leaders because we're nurse leaders. So we're able to not only coach you to grow individually, we're also able to help you achieve top decile performance. So we coach, and then we are performance accelerators so that you can improve any metric in your organization. And we love doing it. So with decades and decades, I don't like to put how many decades, because then you might start adding up and figuring out my age, but with myself, with Pam Spivey, and two of our other coaches, Pam Hunt, who I think is on this webinar as well, decades and decades of coaching experience we bring to you and to your team. We'd love to help you.
And Rob in the background is also a certified coach, millennial, and coaches us on many of our calls.
Well, 100%, and he's fantastic. Shame
Yes.
on me for not including him. But Rob is a great addition to the team, and he's a fantastic fit for our emerging leaders.
Yes.
So here's where we stop and try to not speak and ask what questions you might have for us about coaching, an individual engagement or an organizational engagement, and or any questions about the data we shared.
All right, everybody, feel free to use the Q&A function to type a question, or if you'd like, I can promote anybody to a panelist to ask the question in person. You can even turn on your camera. So please, now is the time. Please do populate in a question. Maybe as you're doing that, to grease, prime the pump a little bit. I know that we do get often quite a few questions around what's a good strategy. You know, hey, I'm interested in this. I think I need it. I think it would be good for the organization, but I'm a little scared to bring it up. You know, who do I talk to about it? How do I go? So that's a question. Maybe that's something that we could talk about as people type in their questions in the chat box.
Lori, do you mind if I start?
Oh, please go right ahead, Pam.
I think I was unique, but not so now, based on the coaching clients that I have. I saw coaching as an investment in me. And so I made those dollars work for me. And I continue to have a coach, and it's invaluable to my continued growth as a nurse leader, as a coach, and as an entrepreneur. So I just want to let you know, and can't speak higher than this, is if you want to grow, invest in coaching. You can do it through the group, through your organization, but I tell you, coaching will be larger ROI than that one conference.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Thank you, Pam. And another thing that I'll add is that, you know, when I was a director or a chief nurse and one of my direct reports or even a coworker, I've had coworkers ask me about coaching. I've spoken to, I have physician clients. But even before I was a coach or trained as a coach, people came to me they were curious about it. And every time someone would come to me about it, it would make me smile. And it would make me smile because I just knew that something was in their heart that they needed addressed, and they weren't getting it from other places. A conference isn't going to answer that question when you have that need, that quest to grow, or that quest to get out of this challenging environment that you're in, a challenging position, or to help you get to that next step that you seem to be having trouble getting to. So I used to smile about it when someone came. And then as I became a chief nurse, I would smile even bigger, because it would mean that my team or whoever came to me really was committed to making a bigger difference and committed to growing. Of course, I would ask clarifying questions as the executive sponsor. If someone came to me and said, hey, I really am interested in coaching, you would expect your boss to ask you some clarifying questions. Okay, tell me more. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you need. And then naturally, my next step would be, you know, I love it. This sounds great. It's a way that I can support you to grow. Now, not all the conversations go this smoothly, but I'm giving you my lived experience. And whoever came to me, I would say, you know what? Let me meet your coach or the company that you're thinking of using, you'd like to recommend. And then me as the CNO or the sponsor of the coaching engagement, then you start that conversation and you start that relationship. And then I'd feel really comfortable investing in it.
Thanks, Lori.
Oh, sure.
Sorry, we have a couple of more questions. Sorry, I just want to make sure we get to them with time. Adrian asked, what tools, it just went away. Where did that question go? Did Pam type an answer already? Well, Pam, maybe you can just speak it out for people who are listening. Adrian asked, what tools do you have for nurse leaders that are influencers without authority or without direct reports? So Pam, you answered that. Maybe you just want to take that quickly.
Yes, that was an excellent question, Adrian. For many years as a CNS, as a informal leader without direct reports, there are many tools that you can use to expand your influence. And as Lori mentioned, all nurses are leaders, whether you have direct reports or not. And we can help design and improve that perspective of the leader without direct reports. What are you leading? Clinical practice. What are you leading? Quality improvement. How are you working with different teams as a leader, as part of the team? So all of those can come together and find your voice and make it stronger. We'd love
Pam.
to talk more about it.
Great. Thanks, Pam. And then just mindful of time, another rapid fire. Bobby asked, would you recommend starting with a group coaching session with a specific team, such as supervisors, before going to a higher leadership levels as a group of directors or managers? Top down or down up for where to start with coaching?
Can I take that one, Pam?
Oh, sure.
Okay. So you can do anything you want. And especially if you work with Inspire Nurse Leaders, we'll make it work. But if Pam said I was Dorothy or the Good Witch, I'm making myself the Good Witch. If I had the magic wand, I would say start with the higher level of leadership. That's typically our approach. So, and the reason I say that is because what you want to do is embed the culture with the leaders that can have the biggest influence of Cascade. So if you're coaching, let's just say to my favorite leadership model, the Leadership Challenge, and you're teaching people about core values, you're teaching people how to model the way, you're teaching people how to be more influential by being inspiring and enabling others to act, all of those things. You want to make sure that it's starting with the higher level leaders. You know how they say it's always really important to make sure the executive has buy-in, right? Get that buy-in first. It's because you want to set the tone. And when me as the manager or the director is modeling the way, then you're going to be able to set the expectations and to hold people accountable with what you've learned in coaching. Does that make sense? So it's that cascading across the organization. And when it's already a healthy culture and being adopted by the higher level of leaders, and then you start embedding it into each layer down to the front line, that's where the magic happens.
Great. Thank you, Lori. We got another question. And again, I'll speak for the team and say, keep them coming. We'll answer them as long as you have them. But also appreciate if people do need to hop off. It's getting late in certain time zones. But the next question came up. Christine asked, what challenges have you experienced when moving from a team member to leading team members, and how did you handle them? And maybe even we can put that in the context of coaching team members or being coached as somebody in that position.
Pam, did you want to take this one, or would you like me to start? It's up to you.
I'll just start, and you bring home the end, okay? That's hard. One day you're a colleague sitting at the lunch table, and the next day you're the boss. And for those of you that have experienced, you know how hard it is. One, have those conversations with your dear friends and colleagues and let them know that you are going to be learning how to lead and you want their support. You invite them to be a part of this new exciting venture. You also set expectations. That's kind of the second meeting. And setting expectations means that you have to be fair and balanced across all of your staff. And that when you are at work, you will be working together and they will be leading and helping you grow in that role. So those are the two things that were top of mind for me. What would you like to add, Lori?
Well, I'd like to underscore how hard it is. It's way easier to get promoted in a different organization. So I'm a manager now and I got a director position in another organization. That's way easier. When you are promoted from within, whether it's from staff to leader, or even leader to a higher leader, and your coworker levels change, it is one of the most challenging transitions you can have, actually. That, along with what Adrienne brought up of having influence but not direct authority over people, those are the two hardest roles and transitions to have. And I want to also underscore what Pam said, having an authentic conversation about, you know what, I'm uncomfortable with this. We were peers, and now I am your direct supervisor. There's going to be some changes. There's going to be transition. If any of you have read Dare to Lead or anything from Brene Brown, she talks about being honest and vulnerable and saying it right out in front. This makes me uncomfortable. Same thing with crucial conversations. It's like the golden rule when things are changing and in communication. Just be honest about it. And unfortunately, what I'm going to tell you, and you likely already know this, but some of those friends are not going to be your friends anymore. You won't be able to maintain some of those relationships. Some people can't handle that you're stepping up or stepping out of where you all were a group, a formed group. And I don't mean to take this lightly at all. By what I'm going to say is that you have to accept that. Some of them are going to stray, and you have to accept it, and you have to move on and lead from your values. Because the most important thing about what any role you're in is that you're authentic, you're honest to your core, and that you always do what you say you're going to do. And that is the key strategy in gaining credibility in your new role. And make no mistake, when you get promoted and have a new role, you have to rebuild trust and regain trust. You're not going to be able to rely on all the trust. I always say it's like a bank account. You deposit a lot of things in the trust bank by the actions that you have. And doing what you said you're going to do builds that trust. But when you take a new position, the balance of your trust and admiration and authenticity and leadership, it all goes away. You're starting from zero, and you have to start building it up. And as you build it back up as a boss of who previously were your coworkers, you keep making those small deposits by doing what you said you're going to do. That's going to be your best strategy.
Yes. And one word would be trustworthiness is what you are putting back into the bank.
Thank you. You're right. Perfect.
Great. All right. So that is all of the questions. I guess I'll just put out one quick last call for any questions. Feel free to drop something into the Q&A. While that's happening, as you're taking that last chance, just number one, want to thank you all. Obviously, I know everyone's time is very precious, so we appreciate you joining us for this, and we hope you found it as meaningful as we did delivering it. To draw your attention again to the slide that you see, please contact us at coaching@inspirenurse-leaders.com. That'll go right to our team, and we'll make sure that we get somebody in touch with you who can answer your questions or help you connect the dots on, if you're feeling or seeing some power and potential behind this, but don't know how to quite make it happen. That is exactly what our job is. So we can help you with that. Also, happy birthday, Pam.
Thanks, Bobby.
And then finally, that slide, well, I made a note of it in the chat, but our kind of business case, one-pager ROI slide, everyone's going to get a copy of that. So, we hope that this is the thing that you can roll up and tap your leadership on the head with and say, hey, this is how we need this in our organization, and I'm going to be the person to help bring it. So with that, I don't see any more questions. Thank you all again. We hope everyone has a wonderful evening, and we'll see you again next time.
Thanks for joining, friends. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.